Well, you're here with me in this big, beautiful building that God gave us about 25 years ago for ministry, and it's been well used for ministry. And in those 25 years, people have come down to the children's wing, our beautiful, delightful children's wing, and we've heard through the years things like, you have a daycare, childcare, what about a preschool? And the firm answer was always no. And why no? Because it felt like a distraction from ministry. And just over 2 years ago, Jack Magruder challenged us to come up with new ministry initiatives. And the Spirit was moving. And I thought, I'll look into what it takes to open an early learning center here at Trinity. Right? For 20 years, no. All of a sudden, let's look into it. And what does it take? It's taken a lot of construction. If you've been around, you've seen it. You've seen that we've added new interior and exterior doors, new flooring, controlled access. We need kids to be safe here. You know, we have cameras up all over. Cameras are not up to catch people doing something. They're to keep people from doing things that they shouldn't be doing. One layer of safety. Everyone, volunteer or staff member, will be background checked. And we'll have controlled access. We need to keep the place contained when we have children here 55 hours a week. We've added a playground and then a lot of work on the grounds, and of course a grease trap issue that is being addressed among so many other things. So it's taken a lot of construction. It takes support from the top down. This is an all-in endeavor. And from the beginning, even with so much that had to be done, the magnitude of what had to be done to update our building, it never dampened our enthusiasm or our commitment to what God was about, especially considering the fact that it's taken over $500,000 just to work on the building alone. And that was all approved, supported by our elders. It's taken support from the top down. It takes a lot of staff. If you know the early learning world, you know this to be a fact, that one of the biggest issues is getting staff. I know centers that operate about half capacity because they can't get enough staff. And God has already brought us, we have a contingent of about 20 potential future rock-solid, rock-star staff members who are going to work here. And they're on tap, ready for when we need them. It's going to take a lot of staff. It's going to take volunteers. Talking to a representative from the state about early learning centers, I was so surprised to find out that you could use volunteers in a center. And she just flat out and boldly said to me, not only can you use volunteers, but a successful center has to have both staff and volunteers. We already have people signed up to volunteer. And it's going to take a lot of children and families. Here's where we are currently. We have 113 families on our leads list. These are people who have expressed interest and signed up. 43 of those have applied. They've applied to bring their children here. Of those 43, 16 are currently enrolled. So if any more enrolled this week, we will start with 16 children when we open on April 7th. And then, of course, we'll continue accepting children as they enroll. We will fill up. We're licensed with the state for 150 children. If you've not been down to our children's wing, it's big. We have a lot of rooms. And then we're, with our township, we have a special use permit for 69 children. So as soon as we can get that updated to 150, we intend to even expand this center before we open. We want to offer out-of-school care this summer for elementary-aged children. So we're going to ask you to pray, but that's one very specific thing you could be praying about, that we could have favor with our township and get that special use permit sooner rather than later. And then, what does it take? This center is already a premier center. We're not even opened yet. There are already markers there. There are already ways people are thinking about us, talking about us, and even sharing materials that we've created. It takes a lot, and it takes a certain level of quality, and we have already attained that. So to say all of that is exciting doesn't even begin to describe it. The TEDCenter will unapologetically and unashamedly be a faith-based center. Faith will be modeled. It'll be modeled by our staff, be modeled by our volunteers, and also by the Christian families that God brings to the center. But it will also be taught. It's a both and. Our children will receive Bible instruction throughout the week. And we know that children learn, our children in terms of their learning, it will be child-led. We'll see children learning through discovery, exploration, and play. And then at the same time, just as in their Bible teaching, they're also going to receive direct instruction. And some of that will be through our STEAM-based education. If you're in the educational world, you know that STEAM stands for science, technology, education, arts, math. Thank you. Yeah. STEAM. That's important. And literally, much of that even starts with infants. There are lessons and there's curriculum designed for infants. Even our youngest ones are going to get the top of the line teaching. And this is really important. STEAM is the buzzword in education right now, and it's pretty easy to say, oh, we're going to do STEAM, or some people just do STEM. Sorry, arts. But yeah, they're missing out on it, right? So, it's easy to say that, but we already have teachers lined up who are fully committed to teaching children, who are immersed in this and want to teach children in these ways. So we have so much to highlight and so much to rejoice in, but here are a few that I would like to share with you. Through the TEDCenter, God is going to be at work, and these are some things that we know God is going to do. Children will be set up for a lifetime of success. Your experience and your wisdom tells you this, that these years are critical in the life of a child. And now buckets of research demonstrate it, that what children experience, what they're exposed to, what they're connected to, even their ability to connect emotionally with key adults in their lives, will set the trajectory of their life for years and for decades. And we're going to see children thrive, not only survive, but thrive both now and for the years to come. Creativity will be a focus of ours. We know that we have a creator God and we serve a creator God, and one of the ways we're made in his image is that we're creators, and we're going to focus on children and their creativity. We'll see them thrive in so many ways, especially in the arts. Children and families will be impacted by the faith of those who are working. If you have children, you know this, that when your children are loved and well cared for, when people like you and want to be with you, when they see the transformed lives, their children transformed by the love of God, that is going to impact parents, and that will impact families. That's going to change the face of this church and the face of the kingdom. Families are going to come to Christ because of the TEDCenter, because of how their children are loved, cared for, and taught. That's right. Community will be created here. We're going to create a place where staff want to be here. You want the people who are working with kids loving where they are, loving what they're doing, and we're going to create a place where they want to be here, where children want to come and families feel secure in dropping their kids off, and then volunteers know and understand that the time that they're giving day in and day out make a difference. There will be community here. And then we'll be a blessing to the community we're in. So I don't know if you know this, but there's currently in our culture a dearth of daycare. They call it like a daycare desert. States and the nation, they have numbers to it, that it costs the country billions of dollars, that there's not enough licensed quality care for children, that it ends up costing the businesses and affects our economy. Just by the fact that we're opening, we've already been a blessing to our community. And we specifically want to be a blessing to the parents in our community, right? This is a faith-based center. To work here, you have to be a Christian, but anyone is welcome here. And we're specifically making McLaren Hospital a high priority for us. Why is that? Well, I was so taken with this when I learned this, that when McLaren was being built and first opened, our church office was inundated with phone calls with people looking for care for their children. And why is that? Because people know this, that godly Christians are who you want caring for your children. They're the ones that will love them, will care for them, and keep them safe. So McLaren, on our literal doorstep, our neighbors, we want to partner with them. So we're making McLaren employees a high priority. We're also doing this because the medical field is such a high calling. There are people, if you're in the medical field, you know this, there are people who give so selflessly of their time that we would like to support and honor parents in the medical field. And so we've made McLaren employees a high priority in our enrollment list. If you know someone who works at McLaren and they need childcare, you could tell them about this center and invite them here. So God is going to do a work here in our community, right here in this little pocket in Lansing, right here on Dunkel Road in our Trinity Church building. So just over 2 years ago, when Jack challenged us to explore new avenues of ministry, I turned my eyes toward the early learning world. And then God turned my heart toward the world. It was revelatory for me when I realized, those of you who know me, I've spent the bulk of my life knowing and believing that whether it's 1 hour a day or 1 hour a week spent building into the life of a child or a student can change them for all of this lifetime and for eternity. And I just started thinking, if God can change somebody in an hour, what can he do in 55 hours a week? Well, he can do far more than we can think or imagine. So it's a big deal, and we invite you to join us on this mission. It's not a distraction from mission, but it's part of our mission at Trinity Church. And the first thing is we need your prayers. If you're a prayer, you know that's not a simple thing. We better not be doing anything apart from the move of the Spirit and his leading. And so would you pray for us? That matters most for us. Join us on mission by praying. Or 2, would you let families know about this center? This center is going to fill up. There will come a time where it'll be a years-long wait and people won't be able to get in. But right now we're open and we have room. So if you know families that you think would benefit from being here, would you let families know about the center? Would you give? Your church has already invested a lot of money in order for this endeavor to happen. There are a lot of ways to give, and if one way works for you and if God leads you to do it, would you give? And could you be an ambassador? Would you be ambassador for the center? Especially, we want volunteers to come and serve. Do you know somebody who should be serving children and could benefit from serving children? And those two things could come together through a center. Would you let them know? Easiest thing, TEDCenterLansing.com. You can find out all kinds of information about the center, but you can also sign up to volunteer there. Would you be an ambassador? We know that volunteers will make all the difference on so many levels in this center. And they'll be able to join God on mission simply by loving and caring for and serving children. So we're inviting you to join us on mission because, after all, we are in this together.